Hi, and welcome to That's My Purse Pod, the podcast all about King of the Hill. I'm Jason.
And I'm Jimmy.
How has your week been, Jimmy? We want to update all of our listeners on all the craziness in our life or the boredom in our life.
My week has, well, boring, I guess. I've been doing a lot of, what is it called? What is that lady? Marie Kondoing my life? I've been very, what do you call that? Organizing, decluttering my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just been going through all my stuff. I think you know this about me. I am a collector. I collect anything. So I just have a whole bunch of random collections like Legos and Funko Pops and comic books and all these things. So I just kind of been going through all my stuff and just being like, do I need this? Do I need every issue of like the Mighty Thor? And I decided, no, I don't. So I just kind of been packing things up and being like, now the problem is like, what do I do with this? Now that I know I don't want it, like, how do I get rid of it? But like, try to like make some money back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, I just been packing stuff up, and I am the sole believer now. Now I am in this point in my life of, you cannot start a new collection until one collection has fully left you. So I can't collect anything new until I can get rid of and make more space for whatever I want to collect. And I haven't decided what I want to collect yet, but I know I am getting overloaded with stuff. So I just been doing that. I did take all my Funko Pops out of their boxes.
That is a big move.
I know. I was just like, they're taking a lot of space in my closet in their box, and I have a plan. I'm going to turn them on to like, you know Labubu, right? Have you seen Labubu?
I do.
So, they're like little pendant things you can hang on your bag. I'm thinking about like putting like a screw in some of the Funko Pops and turning them into like bag charms to put on my bag. Because some of them aren't heavy. If you pick some of them up, they're kind of hollow-ish. They're not that heavy. So I'm like, some of these can like go on a bag. So I have a lot of My Hero Academia ones, so I'm thinking about doing that. So a lot of things have been changing, but not really. Just moving things around, trying to make space in my life so I'm not running into 100 things. So that's boring, I guess, but necessary.
I honestly forgot that Marie Kondo was a thing until just now.
Remember when everyone was obsessed with Marie Kondo? Is
Yes.
she still, she's still alive, but like, is she like still popular? Where is she from? Not Netflix, right?
She's from Japan, and they did give her a Netflix show, but like she started, if I'm not mistaken, she started as an author who wrote this book about decluttering your life, and then that book just went viral, and then so they gave her a show, and she kind of did that tour of different talk shows, the Ellens of the world and whatnot. So
Man, yeah, I wonder what she's up to right now. That would, I don't know. She wouldn't be. I would love to be like, and now she's on Celebrity Big Brother, decluttering the house.
that would actually be pretty funny if that was like the whole thing is her job. Like they get her and then Gordon Ramsay, and Gordon Ramsay is like the cook, and she's the person who cleans the house and all that stuff.
You can't get rid of Gordon Ramsay though. Like you're on Big Brother and you have Gordon Ramsay there, and you got to vote someone out. You don't vote out Gordon Ramsay, right? Because he's like making you food. You got to keep that one. And then Marie Kondo's cleaning up everything. You got to like, these are two people you're like, they got to make it to the end because we're living good.
Exactly. They are people that you would want to keep around.
Yeah, so yeah, I just been Marie Kondoing my life and just trying to like, I do need to go through some of my clothes and be like, what clothes do I not wear anymore actively, and then donate those off. I know what to do with my clothes, I just donate them off, but it's the comic books and stuff like that it'd be nice to make a little money back from that.
There's these. I see them advertised a lot on things like what are the sites? Like Variant Comics and a lot of the YouTubers who do stuff, New Rockstar, Screen Crush, they've advertised them before. There's these online services that can grade your comics or your collectibles, and then when you get that grade, it makes it a little easier to sell them.
Hmm. You know what I really want to do? I was thinking about this. I was like, I really just want to have like a nerdy garage sale. I don't know how I get the word out on that. Be like, I am a nerdy guy. I have a lot of nerdy stuff. I'm trying to get rid of it. Nerds come to me and lowball me because any offer will do. Because you can't just set up a garage sale because like you're not going to attract the right people, right?
Put it on Partyful.
Partyful, what's that? Wait, is that something? I don't know about that.
It's popular amongst Gen Z. It's kind of like what Meetup used to be before it became garbage.
And then I can put like a garage sale on there?
I think so. People put all sorts of weird events on there.
Full?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna download it. Maybe maybe next week I'll be telling you guys about my garage sale. Or yard sale. I don't know. They're the same thing, right?
They're effectively the same thing.
So, but we shall see. Hopefully, like some of the stuff is just like hard to get rid of. I have like a advertisement for the new Pokemon Snap, like giant poster that I'm like, I shouldn't just throw this away. Maybe someone wants this. These are weird things that I've collected through the years, but we shall see. But anyway, how was your week? What have you been up to?
So, a few things. I got a Pixel 10, which is nice. Been playing with it. 10 Pro XL to be more specific. I always get a new phone. Largely because I always trade in the other one, so it usually winds up being not too bad. I'm just a gadget tech freak, if you will. I finished Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. For the first time ever, I did a non-lethal run and succeeded. I went through the whole game without killing anybody. So that was pretty interesting to do. It's a challenge that a lot of people do with Metal Gear. And I guess other games too, but Metal Gear, because Metal Gear does give you the option of ways to complete the game without killing anybody. So you can use like tranquilizer darts to knock people out, or you can punch them in the face and knock them out and stuff. So there's ways, or you can just sneak past them and stuff. So that's kind of how I played it. Was I used tranquilizer darts and just snuck past them too.
Did you get an achievement for that? I know you play on PlayStation. Did you get like a little PlayStation trophy? Is that what are they still called that?
Yeah, I don't know if I got a trophy. I need to double check. But at the end of the game, it gives you your stats, and then it showed humans killed 0. So
there's a non-lethal one, but is there like an extremely lethal trophy? Like I killed this person didn't need to be killed, and I walked over them and I killed.
Probably when I played the original one. Granted, this was PlayStation 2 era. Played the original Snake Eater. PlayStation 2, they didn't have trophies or anything like that. So I don't know. But when I played it originally, I definitely played it that way, where I pretty much killed everybody I came across. Went in Rambo style. Whereas this time I was like, let me see if I can pull off a non-lethal run.
I mean, I feel like that's how I would have played too, younger. I mean, I played Pokemon. And Pokemon, you just like, you walk into everyone's house and dig through all their stuff. I feel like, isn't that like every RPG where you're like, I gotta go into every random house and look through their closet to see if there's anything I need.
I always find it funny, like, in real world, somebody would be yelling at you if you did that, but you just go through and loot everybody's house and nobody seems to mind.
Not just loot their house. I remember in Pokemon, you like dig through the trash cans. And you're like, is there anything in this trash can?
Yeah, that's always... Or dig up... You in a Zelda, like Legend of Zelda, you can destroy people's plants and everything like that. So, just looking for rupees.
Man, I haven't played a Zelda in a long time.
There's going to be a Nintendo Direct on Friday, I believe. This Friday, or at least from when we're recording. I'm looking forward to seeing what they announce, because it's probably all going to be Switch 2 games. And so far, the only exclusive Switch 2 games we've had that I'm aware of anyway, there's probably others, but of major titles is the new Donkey Kong game and the new Mario Kart. But every Nintendo games or every Nintendo system, excuse me, since like the Nintendo 64 has had a Smash Brothers. Every Nintendo system has had a flagship, at least one flagship Mario game. Just about everyone has had a Legend of Zelda game. So there are a few things for them to announce, potentially, that we haven't seen yet. So there could be like a Super Mario universe, or I don't know that they're going to announce a new Zelda game since Tears of the Kingdom only came out 2 years ago. Maybe they'll announce a teaser and like coming in 2026, 2027, but I'm not thinking they'll do that. I do think that there's a good chance they'll announce a new Mario game, though.
That's exclusively Switch 2.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been playing with the idea of getting a new Switch. I still have my old Switch. I don't really move into a new Switch until a Pokemon game comes out. I know the new one's gonna be on the Switch too, but you can still play it on the Switch. So I'm holding out still, but we'll see. I mean, this Direct sounds pretty good. You know what game I wish they would bring? I don't want it ported over either. Like how they have the little arcade thing you can get on Switch? I want, like, a new Diddy Kong Racing. Have you ever played Diddy Kong Racing?
I did.
That was, like, I'm like, Diddy Kong Racing is way better than Mario... well, I'm saying it. It's way better than Mario Kart. I love Diddy Kong Racing more than I love Mario Kart. I find it more fun. You can be on an airplane, a car, or, like, a little water boat thing. It was so much fun. I wish they bring back Diddy Kong Racing.
Yes, I don't think that's a controversial take at all. I think most people our age will agree that Diddy Kong Racing was superior to Mario Kart.
Yeah, I just remember, like, okay, I know my parents don't listen to this for a fact because they don't know how to use streaming services. But back when I was a kid, I had Diddy Kong Racing, and my parents didn't like any of my friends coming over when no one was home. But there would be like a good hour from when I got home from school till when one of my parents would get home from work. And I would be like, hey guys, we got 40 minutes to play as much Diddy Kong Racing as we can before my family gets here. And we would just play Diddy Kong on the 64. That and then Mario Party. Mario Party on the Nintendo 64, where you would have to play those games where you had to move the little joystick around like that, and you get little burns in the palm of your hands. Man, kids don't understand what it was like back in the day.
Nintendo actually had to give people special gloves for that.
To do that? Wait, was it sold? I could have bought a special glove?
I think you had to request it and they would send it to you because there were a lot of complaints about people injuring their palms playing Mario Party.
Yeah, because there was one game where you had to spin the joystick. I feel like they wanted you to just kind of use your thumb and index to kind of move it around. But the real way was to just put it in the middle of your palm and then do circle motions. Man, I missed that. Well, I bet those are on eBay for $1,000 now, those little gloves.
Yeah, probably.
They're like Nintendo history.
Yep, they definitely are. That was definitely an interesting genre or an interesting time. It was when King of the Hill, or during its original run too, the early season. Early seasons, I should say. But yeah, let's jump into this episode.
Yeah.
So this one is called Peggy's Fadeout. I actually enjoyed this one. I mean, yes, I enjoyed all of them, but this one had a lot of moments that just made me laugh, and a few quotable moments too that we'll probably get into a little later. I don't want to give anything away, so let's jump right into it. So the episode starts with Peggy looking at at the computer, and she's on Min's blog. She has a lifestyle blog called Minute Zen, which, it's a pun. I feel like that was her parody of Marie Kondo, if you will, to do a little callback. And all of a sudden, Peggy gets an email from the community college district, the Heimlich Community College, and apparently she applied to be their budget and finance director, which is kind of funny because she is in no way qualified to do that job. There's nothing in the show to indicate that she has those skills. It's funny because the rejection letter says, oh, your experience of haggling in Saudi Arabia flea markets doesn't give you the experience to handle the budget of the community college. Doesn't equate to a 2-year master's program. So Peggy is obviously a little upset about that, but it also really speaks to her character, how she's always really high opinion of herself. Often that's not aligned to reality. So she goes out to the living room where Hank is watching the Property Twins. And of course he's making commentary about them, like, oh, you shouldn't, you're using a laminate? Well, hope it doesn't rain where you're living, and things like that. Peggy is like, oh, you don't need to convert Bobby's room to an office. And, she's like, oh, I didn't get the job. And, she's a little upset about it. And asks Hank to do something with it and make it a home theater, and he's like, why? Why would I want to do that? They don't make movies like Forrest Gump anymore. And, they talk about how they remember how, oh, Bobby used to want to be on TV and make jokes. That was his big thing, is he wanted to be a prop comic. And, how much he's grown up. And then it cuts to Robotic Chain, and Bobby is, like, making a video to be on a TV show called King of the Grill. So he's like, oh, I want to be on King of the Grill. He's doing like the promotional video to send to the producers, and all of a sudden a rat jumps onto the plate, and Emilio's there, and Bobby's like, oh, take care of the rat, and then he pulls out a gun and he's like, don't shoot it, and so he puts it away. So a few things to unpack here. One, as I mentioned, I just found it funny that Peggy had that high opinion of herself to the point where she's like, she's never handled a budget for a community college, so she has no experience doing that. She doesn't have the master's degree, which was, as far as I can tell, was in the job description based on the response. But she thinks, oh, well, you know what? I spent a lot of time haggling in Saudi Arabia, so that's equivalent experience, right?
I don't think Peggy's ever looked at a job requirement section. Or, like, I don't even think she looks at the job description. She's just like, you know what? This sounds like something I can do. Or, it's not even this sounds like something I can do. It's like, they need me. That team needs me to be on there.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think she's ever actually read the job description, or at least not thoroughly. Maybe she read the description, but not the requirements. Or even if she did read the requirements, she was just like, man, I think I can do that.
And I love that, like, I don't know, why not still change Bobby's room to an office? I feel like that's just going to be, like, useful for both of them.
Maybe. I mean, for Hank, probably not, because Hank's not an office person, so I don't think he'd ever use it. For Peggy, probably.
Because wasn't she, like, working in, like, the closet? Like, her computer was, like, in the closet?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Like, where the water heater was, yeah.
Yeah, because I just remember that episode where, like, she takes the IQ test, and they're just, like, in that little closet room where the computer is. I'm like, she definitely deserves something bigger than this. Also, what about the room where Luann was staying? That should have been turned into something.
Well, that used to be Hank's den until Luann moved in. Because remember, that was like a big plot point for a long time of them saying, like, oh, I need to get my den back, or, oh, when is Luann going to move out so I can get my den back, that kind of thing. So my inclination is that it became his den again after she moved out.
Then we need more den stuff. I feel like we're not in the den a lot. I don't even remember being in the den without Luann being in.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think we barely see the den. The only time I can so there's been a few times where we see the den, but it's as Luann's room. The only time I could think of seeing the den where it was just a den, and there's probably other times too, but off the top of my head, the only time I can think about that is the episode where Luann moves to the house next door, or the house across the way, and Hank turns the den back into a den, but then the guys want to treat it like their clubhouse.
Yeah, because most of the time we're in the garage.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, regardless, I love that Peggy's trying to find something. I really want Min's blog or YouTube thing or whatever, like, or whatever she's doing. It's a website, but there's video aspect to it.
Yeah.
And I really want, like, I just want all of that. I want that story. I want more. I hope Min's stuff is just sprinkled through. I love the sprinkling of Min so far. She's kind of just here and around. So, but I'm sure we're going to get more of her because they hired a voice actor for Khan. So.
Yeah, for sure. And then I like that Bobby is trying to be on a cooking TV show because it does kind of go back to his original character where he really wanted to be on TV and be a celebrity and stuff. But at the same time, you can't be on that show and also run the restaurant.
Because isn't it just the two of them?
No, we saw one episode where there were other employees, but we only ever see the two of them.
Also, I love in the beginning, like when we flash over to Bobby at the restaurant, and then they're like shooting, like recording the audition, and Bobby has a really good take, and then Amelia goes like, "Oh, I wasn't recording, or did you want me to hit record now?" And I was like, "Oh, that happens all the that happens all the time when you're like, oh, this is perfect," and you're like, wait, I wasn't doing anything, or like, oh, this is a great picture moment. And you're like, oh, I wasn't taking a picture. Or some, I feel like we've all had those moments, and I just felt for Bobby. And then the take he does do, a rat falls on top of him.
It was a pretty decent sized one too.
Oh yeah, I've never seen a rat in a restaurant before, like, and I don't know. I feel like that would scare me. If that fell on me, I would have. I don't know, man. I would have screamed loud.
Mm-hmm. It was like the size of the steak.
Well, that's Dallas rats for you. Dallas Fort Worth rats.
Mm-hmm. Back at Robota Chain, while Emilio's handling the rat, Bobby has to do a budget meeting with the Wasana songs. And, he's it kind of like with a previous episode we were talking about where he is prepared for the car dealership and everything. He has like the charts and everything ready to go for the budget meeting, and he talks about how they were initially planning on being profitable in 2 years, but it looks like they will hit it in 18 months and whatnot. The Wasana songs are just kind of, taking it in, but not giving real feedback, if you will. But Ted's just like, oh, this is coming out of Chain's entertainment budget. He crashed his WRX, and it's like, oh, that stop sign came out of nowhere. Then they say, well, we have a rat problem, so we need to hire somebody, and you cut the exterminator budget, and they're just like, oh, well, it's up to you to figure out how to deal with it, because they wouldn't give him the money, which, dude, you can't run a restaurant with rats. Like, the health department will shut you down. Like, this should be a priority. Whatever you need to cut something so you can take care of the rats. But I digress. I do like this part because it is kind of one of those meta jokes. So Bobby goes up to Chain and he's like, hey, have you heard of King of the Grill? And Chain's like, is that Texas cooking show that Fox stupidly canceled 15 years ago? And then Bobby's like, yeah, but they're bringing it back.
Okay, so I thought, okay, I get it now. That's about King of the Hill. But I legit, I heard that and I was like, wait, was there a show on Fox called King of the Grill that they canceled? Because that sounds like a show that Fox, back in the day, guys, Fox would, like, do anything. There would be any kind of show on Fox for any reason. So I was like, wait, was there a cooking show on Fox called King of the Grill or some kind of grilling competition show? And then it wasn't through halfway typing it on my phone that I realized, oh, this is a King of the Hill joke. So that was really good. It was funny. And I love you can poke at yourself a little bit.
Yep. Bobby's like, oh, well, if I get into the show, you can buy ads. And Shane's like, nah, Reality shows are for guys with six packs and cool haircuts. So Chain's still just Chain. He's a jerk. We see the alley. Bill is with the guys. They're drinking, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta go. I gotta meet with my friends." That he apparently made friends while Hank was in Saudi Arabia. Lucas, Isaiah, and Ernie. He's like, "I lost contact with them when I became bedridden, but now I'll go and see them." Dale and Boomhauer tell Hank that, yeah, these friends aren't real. And they're like, "Yeah, Hank, you should really talk to Bill." And Dale doesn't want Bill to have more friends than him, even though they're fake friends. And so Hank's like, "All right." I don't know. That to me is just mean to Bill. Like, oh, Bill doesn't have real friends. And I don't know. It kind of, I mean, granted, I think we would all just assume that, because I would assume all of them don't have any real friends outside of each other, because you never really see them hanging out with anybody else. But
I feel like Boomhauer would. I just feel like Boomhauer has another life that, not like a secret life, but just kind of like, oh, there's other people that I know. And I don't blame them for thinking like Bill is going through a crisis and just driving off and hanging out with no one. I mean, like, that makes sense, right? That's like totally something Bill would do.
yeah, just like hanging out at a coffee shop by himself, pretending to be with friends.
I don't even think coffee shop. I mean, like, maybe just sit in the car or go to the grocery store.
Probably that is something he would do. Back at Robotic Chain, they're talking about how they need an exterminator, and Bobby's like, I can't afford one. I make as much as you, Emilio. And Emilio's like taking it back, so apparently Emilio's not making a ton. Bobby said he traded his salary for his 15% stake, which only pays off if the restaurant succeeds. And Emilio's like, "Man, you're one of the hardest working people I know. They should call you the weekdays." And they're like, "Where can we find a cheap exterminator?" And of course, we all know where this is going. Next scene, it shows Dale is there, and Dale's like, "Oh, I'll do it. I'll do it for you gratis." And they're like, "Oh, really? I'm glad you'll do it for free." He's like, "What? No, I thought that meant discount." Huh. I guess that's why I'm not getting paid. And then he sets up a trap, but then he sets up a camera, and he's like, "Oh, this camera's for my Patreon."
I need that. I need that in my life. I need Dale. Dale must be rich, right? That Patreon must be going crazy.
I could see a lot of people want to watch him.
Unless he doesn't know how to advertise it. Like, he's never said anything about it.
I think it'd be funny to watch Dale just be Dale.
A Bill live stream would be very sad. I feel like people would be like, I can't watch this stream anymore.
Yeah, I gotta quit, guys. I'm sorry.
But Dale is like, we need to strap a GoPro to him. That's like Patreon, like, that's a Patreon that's filling up every month. Yeah, and I love that he's like, I haven't been getting paid for. So what is he, just like finish the work and leaves and never gets like any checks, and it's like, well, guess that was a loss.
I guess. So we go to Joseph, who's working on the road. He's part of a road crew, and he sees Chain, and it's like, "Oh, hi, Chain," and yeah, Chain doesn't pay attention, and one of the guys working with him's like, "Oh man, college guys?" And he's like, "Nah, that's the guy I went to high school with," and he's dating one of our friends. Is like, "Oh, is that her?" And Chain's clearly not with Connie. This is like a blonde girl. And so Joseph takes a picture and sends it to Bobby. Back at the Hill House, we see that Hank is testing batteries, which is absolutely something I could see him do while he's bored. He just like has one of those kind of industrial battery testers, and he has just a ton of batteries, and he's just putting them in one at a time, like testing and charging them and putting them away. Peggy comes back, and she's talking about, opening up to Hank about how she just feels like everybody's doing bigger and better things, and she's just feeling out of place. Like, she wanted that job, and Nancy has her online thing, and Min has hers, but Peggy just doesn't know what she's doing. And then Bill says he's going to go to North Arlen to hang with the boys, so Hank decides, okay, well, this is time for me to tail Bill and see what's going on. And so he does, and sure enough, Bill pulls into a barbershop, a black barbershop. apparently everybody here is his friend. So Hank's like, huh.
No, I just like, I love that the fact is like, Bill has these friends. And it makes sense, right? Like, Bill's a barber. He should have, like, barber friends. It is interesting, though, that, like, I don't know. I just find it interesting that he was able to click with these people.
I mean, that's kind of the thing. It subverts expectations. So I think at first, most of us probably thought we would have seen Bill just drive to a park or something and hang out by himself. But then if he did have friends, you'd think it would just be other guys similar to him, or at least who look similar to him. But here you have him walking into a black barber shop, and he's just hanging with the guys. So it's unexpected, which I think is funny.
Yeah, and they're all like, "Oh, it's Bill, it's Bill."
Yeah, they're all like, fist bumping and everything like that. Back a Robot Chain, we see that the rat figured out how to get at the food and get around Dale's trap. So it's like, this rat is smart. These Dallas rats are very smart. So he's like, I'm going to create the Judas rat. This rat will become friends with it and then double cross it. It looks like he shows a schematic of it, and it looks like this high-tech rat, and Bobby's like, there's no way I can afford that. He's like, oh, this is just a drawing. Here's a prototype. And it's just a rat with like a Apple AirTag on it or something like that, and then a bomb attached to it. So it was just, it's funny. So he sets that free. Connie shows up and is like, hey, Bobby, you said you wanted to talk to me. What's up? He's like, I hate to tell you, but Chain is cheating on you. And then in the background, you can hear all this noise, and he's like, dang you, Judas rat. Dale's yelling that. Connie's like, that's not possible. And then Bobby's like, I know you're upset and stuff's like, no, it's not possible because we are in an open relationship, so he can't be cheating on me. And then Dale falls out of the ceiling. So this was hinted at or suggested in some of the pre-release information before they actually released the episodes, that Connie would be in what they call E&M, or ethical non-monogamy, or what we used to call just open relationship or being poly, but I guess E&M is the more common term, if you will. So yeah, they said that it was going to be about Connie, and now we see it playing out.
I am shocked. I was shocked. I didn't know this, but I'm shocked that that's something Connie would be into.
I think more young people are into it these days. At least that's the impression I get. It's actually really popular here in the Bay Area.
I don't feel like, I don't know. I guess we haven't seen these characters in so long, but just like, you never really see Connie dating anyone else. And it's not like, I don't know. I just never saw her like dating other people. She was just kind of always with Bobby and like doing her own thing. So it was just I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but I just thought it was interesting for that character and kind of like an interesting twist. And I mean, like, that's kind of another thing where it's like, oh wow, she's so different than Bobby now. Like, they're two different kind of people. Because like, as we saw in the first episode, where Bobby has a hookup, and then kind of is like, oh, what do we do now? And she's like, well, thanks for the one night stand, but that was just it, one night. And he's like, oh, okay, and he kind of left. And it's kind of like, oh wow, they're very two different kind of people, because Connie's like open to this kind of relationship of just kind of the freedom of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Bobby is actually looking for something more traditional, more serious. Not that that's not serious. More traditional is what I mean.
Yeah, that's, I guess, more traditional. Monogamous, I guess, is how I would term it. So to me, there's nothing wrong with either or, because it's just, everybody's wired a bit differently and whatnot. So I personally wouldn't be into it, but, I'm also not going to judge somebody else. So, it's a thing. And I think there was a lot of discourse on social media and like Reddit and stuff about this, like people essentially attacking Connie of, I don't know. It was just the standard, kind of anti-women, arguments that you hear all the time where these guys talk negatively about women who are more open about their sexuality and stuff like that, and it just upset me. And like, no, you know what, there's nothing wrong with saying this isn't for you, and another person being the person that likes that.
Yeah, I feel like, I want to explore this more with Connie. Or, like, I want to see, like, I feel like this is a more looser, like, side of Connie that we haven't really seen. Like, she's always kind of dabbled in kind of being her own person and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited to kind of see, like, Connie really come into her own without relying on any other character. So I feel like this is kind of her own thing, and it just seems like it is an interesting plot twist. And I love Bobby's like, I have all the evidence. He's like, I know you can't accept the fact because you're in shock, but
Yep.
here is the picture. She's like, nah, that's chill,
Yeah. So back at the barber shop, Hank was initially worried that, Bill was going crazy and making up these people, but he's actually kind of relieved to see these people exist. And Bill mentions that, Brian Robertson introduced him to Lucas, his cousin, after Bill was forced into early retirement because, Brian Robertson was like, my cousin Lucas is a barber, you're a barber, you might hit it off, kind of thing. He didn't realize that, Bill, or it's funny because Bill's like, he didn't realize that it was a black barber shop, but it's also like, Lucas is Brian Robertson's cousin. Brian Robertson is black, so, but anyway. But one thing led to another, and Bill befriended everybody at the black barbershop, which, hey, cool, great. But then the barbershop shut down due to COVID, so Bill became depressed, which ultimately led to the whole him becoming bedridden and whatnot. But when Hank came back, Bill got out of his depression and everything and, got better, then he was able to go back to the barbershop. So he decides to introduce Hank to the fellas, and then apparently Bill told a lot of fake stories about Hank in order to make himself look better. So essentially Bill, it's almost like a character swap where Bill was pretending to be Hank and then talking about Hank being Bill. So, Bill apparently told the guys that Hank was fat, depressed, and suicidal, and Isaiah's like, yeah, I'm praying for you, man. And he says that Hank was stuck in his house and was bedridden, and Ernie's like, hey, do you need a driver? Because they think that Hank is unemployed, and so he drops money on the ground to, like, slyly help out Hank. And he's like, how long have you known the Doughtrees? And Hank's like, the Doughtrees? Like, yeah, Bill and Peggy. And Bill has put up, like, pictures of Peggy that he has clearly photoshopped with, like, Peggy's head, but on, like, a very attractive woman's body and stuff. It's like, yeah, we haven't met her yet because she's traveling the world and she speaks fluent Spanish. And, the little Babito, that kid that they adopted, Bill walks Hank out because clearly Hank is, like, confused and he worries that Hank's going to blow his cover. And Hank is upset, obviously. So Bill's like, pretending to be married to Peggy gave me the confidence that I needed. And Hank's like, but that's half a commandment short of adultery. And Bill's like, don't blow my cover and stuff. And Hank's like, no, I'm not going to tell them. You're going to tell them. And, of course, Hank threatens to kick his ass. So, yeah, a lot to unpack here.
Well, Bobito is... I love it. And then, okay. So, the Photoshop picture is, like... It's a bikini model, basically. And then there's, like, Peggy's head on it. And, like, Peggy's head is disproportionate to the body. It's, like, clearly, like... It feels like a picture cut out of something if they glued on another picture. I don't know. These guys, if you pick that up and looked at it, you'd be like, this isn't right. All these pictures aren't right. And, I don't know. It's kind of hilarious that, gosh, there's a term for it. Gosh, where like you, oh man, I can't remember the term for it. But on another note, like Did Bill stop working at Jack's? I thought he was working at Jack's like part-time or like every now and then.
I think it was just for that episode, but it's that traditional cartoon thing where like nothing is permanent.
Okay, because you know what would have been cool now that I'm thinking about this? Like, if Bill owned Jack's. If he took over Jax's, because Jax can't be still cutting hair today. He hated it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that would be interesting if Bill did take over Jax.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, but like, I mean, like, yeah, because I'm sure he like reached a retirement age for the military, so that makes sense that he would retire from that. Yeah, I don't know. Gosh, I wish I would remember what it's called. When you take, like, it's a thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I found it interesting that, I mean, it was nice that Bill connected with some people, you know, and that it helped him with his loneliness and stuff. And it was sad that he, you know, the whole COVID shutting it down led to his depression. But it's just funny to me that he created this whole fake story around Peggy and whatnot. And I guess when we look back and see that Dale and Boomhauer never met the guys, it's clear that Bill is like trying to keep those two lives separate. So I think he always assumed that the two would never cross and we would never have to like explain the situation to anybody until Hank followed him. So
yeah, it's called single white femaling. I think there was a movie. It's basically where like the character took over someone's life, basically like took on their mannerisms and like just took over their life. So it is. I mean, like, who else's life would Bill have taken over? It doesn't make sense. Like, I would have loved if he'd taken over Dale's life, though.
That would have been funny.
But, yeah, it's crazy. I'm so proud of Hank for not, like... I feel like old Hank would have just called it out right there in the middle of the barbershop.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Hank didn't want to embarrass Bill, which is, you know, good on Hank, but he does want Bill to come clean.
Also, like... Bill hasn't been there in a long time. Why does he still have his little corner?
Who knows?
I mean, yes, I understand it's there for the show, so we can move on with the show. But like, if I don't go to work for a month, they're definitely packing out my desk.
Yeah, that's true. You know, cartoon logic.
But yeah, I do enjoy that. Like, Bill has created this fake life for himself.
He has. Well, let's see how it plays out. Back at Robota Chain, Connie is trying to explain to Bobby that they practice ethical non-monogamy, or ENM. They can hook up with people as long as they get approval from the other person. And
isn't there a pre-approved list? Where there's like a pre-approved list?
Yes, there is a pre-approved list, and apparently that whole sorority that girl is in is approved. And then so Bobby's like, do you have a whole fraternity approved for you? And then Connie's like, why? Would it matter? That's slut-shaming, and that's the single worst thing you could do. Which, okay, like, slut-shaming's not a good thing, but it is not the single worst thing you could do to somebody. Come on. She's like, I'm doubling in both electrical and mechanical engineering. I just don't have time for, like, an actual relationship. It's like, do you love Chain? And she's like, no, I mean, you know, he's fine. Bobby asks if he can be E&M, and Connie's like, oh, no, you're not E&M material. You'd get hurt. Dale comes out, says he fixes the ceiling, but the Judas rat has turned on him, and so he has another plan to release a sexy rat to lure them out, and then so Bobby decides to fire him. Back at the Hill House, Peggy has her trophy shelf, and there's kind of a blink and you miss it, like, sight gag there, where you could see one of the trophies has, like, something taped over it that says Mrs. Peggy Hill, and it's that trophy that she won in The Little Horrors of Shop, where she changed her name to Mrs. Hank Hill, but now, like, she took the trophy and I guess corrected it on her own way of putting a Mrs. Peggy Hill on there. So, funny one. Hank tells Peggy about the barbershop and stuff, and that he threatened to kick Bill's ass, and they all think he's the best person and stuff like that, and Peggy obviously is not happy about that at first. Then Hank explains a little more, and then I think Peggy's kind of mental state got the best of her, and she's like, huh, I wonder what Black Barbershop Peggy would do. I bet Black Barbershop Peggy would have gotten that job, and she isn't boring, and she lives an exciting life and stuff. And Hank just doesn't like this. It's all terrible to Hank, and it's like Hank's like, I can't make him stop, but I'm sure you could. So Peggy does go to confront Bill, and instead Peggy starts asking Bill questions about what Black Barbershop Peggy does, and it's like, oh, she's a retired substitute teacher, but she was hired by the University of Texas, and oh wait, no, she should be a vice dean, and it's like, no, you can't change the story. Oh no, well let's hike the Guadalupe Peak, and no, let's go kite surfing in Belize, and Bill asks Peggy to stop by the barber shop because they're starting to get suspicious after Hank came out, and Peggy's weirded out by all of that, and then it's just like, so she kind of comes back to reality. She's like, no, stop.
Yeah, he says something though where it's like it's too much. Oh wait, he asks her to come in,
Yeah.
and then like give him a kiss,
Oh yeah, there we go.
and she's like, "Stop this now."
I don't know. I do like that Peggy was kind of playing along for a while, like genuinely playing along, because she's like, oh, this Black Barbershop Peggy character you created sounds like this adventurous woman, and oh man, that's the better version of Peggy I want to be.
Yeah, I mean, like, Peggy's so bored right now. She definitely is. She's fallen into the fantasy before. Like, we've seen Peggy fall into like the fantasy dream a few times in the series. So
Yep.
I'm not surprised she kind of was like, let me humor this for a little bit, and then like as soon as she realized like, oh, this is with Bill, she's like, no, we gotta end this now.
I think she was fine with playing along as long as she didn't have to actually partake. Then when Bill asked her to like come over, that's when the reality hit, and she was like, nope, this has to end. Back at Robotic Chain, we see that Bobby is still trying to make the movie, and all of a sudden he hears rats outside, so he decides to go outside and check on it, and he sees a woman going through their trash and stuff, and this woman is named Willow, and she's stealing the used grease to make soap for her Etsy shop. Again, apparently this restaurant has some of the best grease. And so Bobby invites her in, and they drink some sake, and Bobby is getting drunk, and he's like, who needs college? I'm young. I figured out what I want to do, and, I don't need this, and blah, blah, blah. And so they cheers to that and stuff, and guess this is going to be an interesting side story. So back at Bill's house, there are a lot of people in suits, and Hank's like, kind of confused, like, why are all these people showing up in suits and stuff? And he talks to Bill, and Bill's like, oh, I ended this all. And Hank's like, oh, good. And it's like, yeah, I told them everybody that Peggy died, and they're having a fake funeral. And Hank's like, what? And he's like, yeah, in the black community, they bring people food to grieve. And Hank's like, I'm pretty sure that's every community, Bill. Bill asks Hank for good stories to tell about Peggy, and Hank just won't play along. Back at the Hill House, Peggy is watching videos of people kite surfing in Belize, so she's still kind of attached to this whole idea of Black Barbershop Peggy being better than Peggy. Hank tells her what's going on, so Peggy walks over to Bill's house to give him a piece of her mind, but then she overhears everything that Bill's saying as Bill's quote-unquote mourning her, and Bill talks about Peggy and how great she is, and we kind of get, in a way, it's like just referencing the first 13 seasons, because she's like, she won Boggle tournaments, and then she had her musing colleagues, and she was in a beauty contest, and then she lived in the Middle East. She lived an exciting life. She didn't succeed at everything, but she was an inspiration, and this ultimately touches Peggy, so she just decides to walk away, and she walks by one of the guys, and he thinks he sees a ghost.
I love that. I love that. I don't know. This is confusing. I love that Bill's found a way out, but what now? Peggy can't come out of the house at certain time. Like they know where Bill lives. They might be coming over. I mean, like I know this is probably gonna be the last time we ever see these characters, but I mean, like in this world, like Peggy can't come out or do anything anymore. She's stuck in the house if anyone comes to Bill's place.
I mean, it seems like nobody's coming to Bill's place anyway outside of this thing, so it should be fine, I guess.
But in their world, in the black barbershop world, Bill is very social and successful. So, like, now that we've been to his house, like, wouldn't you be like, hey, we've been to your house for your wife's funeral? Maybe they won't, because maybe it's like Batman. I don't know. I just find it. I find it well that like everything's kind of worked out for Bill. He didn't have to face any consequences.
Yeah, he walked away from this one pretty unscathed. I do like that. All the stuff he said about Peggy, because I think it's one of those things Peggy needed to hear. Because she just needed to realize that, oh, she isn't a failure or she isn't boring like she thinks she is. Yeah, she's done some pretty good stuff. So I think that's really stuff she needed to hear. Maybe not necessarily in the context of her own funeral, so to speak, but it's stuff she needed to hear.
Yeah, I just, Peggy's done so much. When you think back on the series, Peggy's done so many different things, like Boggle Champion, and she worked on a ranch. Like, she grew up on a ranch. Like, she knows how to like do horses and cattle and stuff like that. And what else has Peggy done? She built those Probots. Remember Probots?
Yep.
The propane robot statue thing. She's done that. She's done so much. I feel like, yeah, she needed a little pick me up, and I think she's just gonna get back to it. I don't know why she can't substitute it anymore. I feel like that's something she could just jump back into. Well, unless children really need to learn Spanish.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, she kind of gave that up. I forget exactly which season, but we never see her do it again when she becomes the newspaper and then she becomes the
realtor.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad for Peggy. But I love... gosh, what was her name? Do you remember her name? Did she ever say her name? The girl that Bobby meets?
Willow, sorry. I'm brain fart. But Willow, I like this Willow character. I like that she's stealing the grease. She's like, you got such high quality grease. Yeah, well, we'll see how she plays out. Back at Bobby's house, Joseph kind of is concerned. It's like, hey, dude, what's going on? It's like, what are you talking about? Apparently Willow passed out drunk in their bathtub, and Bobby doesn't remember this happening at all. There's a knock at the door, and it's Connie. She comes in, and she's like, oh, I tried calling, but couldn't get through, so I decided to stop by, and Bobby doesn't want her to come in for obvious reasons. There's another girl there, but Joseph brings her in anyway because Joseph. Connie thinks that, maybe she hurt Bobby's feelings, and so she sent him a gift, but he never got it. She sent what is it?
A cookie basket.
Yeah. She sent a cookie. He sent a cookie basket. And then Joseph's like, "Hey, can I be E&M too? I can respect your religion." And Connie's like, "No." Willow comes out and she's like, "Oh, I wrote my number on the tub in lipstick." And Connie's like, "What's going on?" Or she's thinking that. I don't think she verbalizes it. And Willow's like, "Oh, is this your girlfriend?" It's like, "No, Bobby isn't my girlfriend." And she's in an E&M or whatever, and it's like Willow's like, oh, that's some BS thing college girls say to get side dick, and it's like, hey, it allows people to have emotional connection without jealousy and blah blah blah, and it becomes a thing, and they talk about how, I love that. Willow's like, I love that story about how you became a chef because you grilled with your dads and blah blah blah, and so, they all decide to kind of hang out together, and we see the cookie basket, but I guess she got the number wrong, or the apartment number wrong, and so it goes to another person, and the little card reads, "You're not E&M material because you're husband material," but it goes to, like, a couple, and so the wife is like, "Who sent you these flowers?" And he's like, "I don't know. I'm not falling for that again." Back at Robotic Chain, we see that the sexy rat plan worked out. They captured all 3 rats, so the original rat, the Judas rat, and the sexy rat, they were busy fighting over each other, and that's ultimately how they got caught. And then Bobby's like, Mr. Gribble was right, and then you hear in the background, "You're welcome." and the episode ends.
Okay, but just a few thoughts about the ending of the episode. I really love Willow. I mean, we barely know her, but I'm already shipping her and Bobby, because it's like, it's not a one night stand for her, because she did leave her number on the bathtub with lipstick, which I feel like if Connie wasn't there, she might have stayed. Was like, oh, I'll chill for a little bit. I love Willow's not afraid to like just say whatever she wants. Yeah, and she's very honest. Like, she doesn't even know who Connie is, and she's already like poking fun at her with the like side dick comment. I'm just jumping all over the place, but I also love when Connie comes in and Bobby's like, "Oh, she's not my girlfriend. She's in an EM. Was it EMN?
ENN, yeah, ethical non-monogamy.
Okay, she's in an ENM, and even if she was my girlfriend, we can still see it's okay because we can see other people."
Yep.
So I love that jab. It's just, Willow seems fun, and then I love like she remembers what Bobby told her while they were drinking, and I think that was really sweet. Like, she remembered he was auditioning, and she remembered like him telling her this story about why he likes to cook, and I think that's a sweet moment. And I just feel like when they go out, I really love when he invites her out to like the little patio or the little balcony area, and he's like, and Connie too if she wants to join. Like, and this moment is very mixed feelings for me, because this is the moment where Connie becomes friend zoned of her own doing. You know, Connie already told Bobby like she's in this relationship with Chang, and she's like living her own, like she's doing this, and she's like, Bobby can't handle that, so she's like, okay, and Bobby's like accepted it, but now he's moved on, and I don't think she was ready for him to move on.
Yeah,
because we see the letter, because we get the cookie basket. Also, if anyone wants, I want cookie baskets. I don't want to give my address out, but if you ever see me walking around and you have a cookie basket, just hand it to me. I don't care. I want I think cookie baskets are better than flowers, and I've said it here, and I'll say it everywhere. But Connie should have just told Bobby, like, I'm in love with... That note is basically, I'm in love with you. Note.
Kind of. I think she's saying that... I mean, it could be seen that way. The way I interpret it was she was saying, like, you're kind of the person that you commit to, not the kind of person that you just, like, play with, you know?
Yeah, but there's also, like... I don't know. You could have phrased that just, like... I know we're diving... I feel like I do this every podcast we do together, where I dive too deep into the episode, but it could have been worded differently if it was kind of like, you're not E&M material, but you are like friend material, or something like that. Like something like, we want to be friends still. And you also see it at the end of the episode where like they're on the balcony and Connie kind of just goes looking off in the corner on her own. It's kind of like, oh, Bobby is moving, like Bobby's figuring out himself, or Bobby's met someone else. I don't know. This is my advice to everyone who's listening. If you like someone, just tell them that you like them. I think it's just like, get it out there. It's gonna suck if they say no, but you know, then you're gonna know where you all stand, and you're not gonna end up with regrets like maybe Connie's having at this moment.
Yeah,
like,
very true.
And then give them a cookie basket. Just also give them a cookie basket. And that's great. And I love that the sexy rat plan worked. I feel like that's going to catch on in the world. All exterminators are going to have that one sexy rat that's going to do everything for them. Like I said, every podcast, I've been loving every episode. Unfortunately, well, okay. Your opinion, what is the A story, what's the B story of this episode?
I don't think there's either, to be honest. So I think what I've noticed with this new season is that there's not even an A and B story. It's just there's two A stories. There's a story that takes place in Arlen, and then a story that takes place in Dallas.
Okay, because I'm like, I always consider like whatever they set up first as the A story, which is Bill's or Peggy's life. Because it's called Peggy's Fadeout, right?
Yeah.
So I was like a Peggy-centric episode. But really, like, I don't know. The Bobby story is very strong this episode.
Yeah.
And it almost made me think, like, I don't know. I don't know if we talked about this just between us two, or we talked about it on the podcast. But I was worried about them, like, getting away from Hank and Bill, Hank and, like, all the adults, and moving more towards, like, a Bobby, Joseph, Connie kind of series. And now after watching this episode, I'm kind of like, well, maybe that would work. Like, I'm really enjoying these three together. I enjoy Bobby working at the... We're creating a really good... And I don't know if that's the plan. I haven't watched further, so I don't know what's going on. And I don't know if that's the plan to transition into, like, the show being Bobby and friends. But they are creating a little group of characters that are surrounding Bobby and Joseph and Connie. And I'm here for it, actually. So I don't know. I'm changing, guys. I was really one way, and now I'm the other. So I'm here for it. If they want to shift over into like a new kind of King of the Hill era, I'm probably down for it. So the Bobby story was great. The Bill story was funny. This episode was great. The season's been. It feels like I've never left. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like they just picked up from where they left off. I'm loving this show.
Yes, I agree, and I do like how they have almost all the episodes. Granted, there's episodes where both Bobby and Hank are together, like in the beer story, but in general, it's like two separate stories where there's the Bobby story of what's going on with him in Dallas, and then there's the Hank or the Hill story of what's happening in Arlen. And they're doing a really good job balancing them out. So I'm really enjoying that.
Oh yeah, it's so... I was worried about this reboot or like unretirement for King of the Hill. But I'm really like, it's so good. I can't wait for more. Like, I hope the scripts are already written. I hope they're like recording. I hope they're animating now. I want it to come out next year. This is everything I wanted. This is what I wanted from like Futurama. I know we keep bringing Futurama back up, but this is what I wanted. This is This is the spirit of the show, modernized.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to whatever, the rest of this season, but then future seasons, because as successful as this was, there's no way we're not getting follow-ups. Well, that's all I have on this episode. What about you?
Oh, no. This is... Guys, I know you listen to this, you love King of the Hill. I can't wait till... I'm going to be sad when we finish the podcast, when we finish all these episodes, but I can't wait to just go back and re-binge this all over. This is just going to go into my cycle. Mm-hmm. Like, rewatching King of the Hill, this is just going to add on to it, like, this season. So, it's not a season to skip. This is great.
Yep, absolutely. Well, cool. Well, join us next time as we cover King of the Hill. But until then, I'm Jason.
And I'm Jimmy.
Bye.
Bye.